This is Listen After Watching,
a podcast where we recap and discuss the most mind-bending, twisty, and thought-provoking TV shows and movies out there. I'm Adrian.
And I'm Alicia. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to Listen After Watching, your favorite sibling podcast. Today, oh man, the much-awaited season finale of Severance Season 2. We're so pumped to talk about this episode.
I'm so excited. I watched it again this morning, and I listened to the Ben Stiller, Adam Scott podcast episode on it because I hadn't tuned into that in a while. So I'm like fully in, ready to go.
Raring to go. Mm-hmm. Hell yeah, buddy. Well, how have you been, Leash? I haven't talked to you much this week.
I've been pretty good. We did get together and watch the finale together. I think we talked about
that's true.
me hosting a Severance finale party, and that did happen. We posted a couple things to our Instagram stories. Age made this beautiful melon display with watermelon, honeydew, and cantaloupe, and they carved the lumen symbol into the outside of the watermelon. It was awesome. And we also had chicken and waffles, and we had some themed cocktails. It was really fun.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, Alicia had a red Audi cocktail and a blue Innie cocktail for us that we could make. Mm-hmm. It was really fun. Our parents watched it with us too.
Yeah, it was just the fam, but it was such a good episode to watch with other people too. This was like the best one to watch together.
Oh yeah, we were screaming at the TV.
We were screaming, we were laughing, probably more than just me. We're tearing up at some moments. It was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, we should probably spoiler alert before we go too far, but
yeah. Well, before we get into it, anything you want to share from your week?
Oh. Well, let's see. How was my week? I had to actually go into my jury duty.
Oh, yeah.
I had to go to the court on Wednesday. So that was interesting. I still have 2 more weeks that they could call me back.
They better
even though
not.
I had to actually go in. They better not. So that happened. And then this weekend, Abby's grandma, we call her Nana, is staying with us. And we're having a little visit with her. And that's been really fun.
Nice.
We hung out on the porch yesterday. She loves just sitting on the porch and like greeting all the people that walk by. It's like her favorite thing in the world.
Wow. Sounds like a nightmare to me, but I'm glad she's having fun.
I know. It's actually really nice because when people see her sitting out there, they're really nice and they're like, say hi and everything. If it's just me sitting out there, people are like, ew, what's that?
I feel like probably we're the same in the energy we give off is kind of like skeptical of, or like apprehensive of people in general. Even though I might be like in a mood to actually be friendly with people around me, I think I give off like I probably shouldn't talk to that person vibe.
Don't talk to me. Yeah. Yeah, with Nana, it's nice because everyone wants to talk to her.
Yeah, she's sweet.
She's just like disarming.
Yeah, totally.
So that's been fun.
That's good. Yeah, we've been, yesterday we had a big full work day of just repotting all of our indoor plants. We took them all out and we went and bought a bunch of new pots that we needed because they've outgrown them and spent all day in the dirt. And I'm exhausted. My fingers hurt. I got poked by some cacti that we have. I'm sore. I mean,
you live a tough life.
It was hard. And then we treated ourselves after we spent so much money on pots to a nice dinner. So
I was about to say, pots are so expensive.
They are. I don't even want to divulge how much we spent on pots. I won't.
A good pot can be like hundreds of dollars, like a big one. I know you guys have big plants too.
We do. Yes. God.
Yay. That kind of stresses me out, but I'm glad you guys
It was quite satisfying, and it was fun. But it was just like, I didn't expect it to take all day from like 10 a.m. to 4:30.
Yeah, a full day project.
Yeah.
Man.
But anyway, Well, now that we've gotten that out of the way, we have a lot of work to do here today, folks. We have to talk about season 2, episode 10 of Severance, called Cold Harbor. Oh my gosh, finally. So this is your spoiler alert. If you have not watched it yet, oh my gosh, it's like one of the best pieces of TV I've ever seen. So please go watch it. And we're so excited to hear what you think. Come back and listen and let us know what your favorite parts were, what your takeaways were. But yeah, Age, what was your first impression? And maybe after you've had some time to sit on it, like, what do you think now?
My first impression was I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was just so fun to watch, especially with all of you guys. Like I said, we were yelling at the screen. Like,
I know.
Very involved. I think like after that, I was like, oh, that's what it is. That's what Cold Harbor is. Mm-hmm. And I was like, we had spent so much time like theorizing like the deepest like things we could think of. And it was just like kind of simple. And we'll talk about that a little later. But
yeah.
But I think after I've had like some time to sit with it, I thought it was perfect. Like I don't know how else they could have ended it. I loved a lot of the details in the show. We'll go through all of those, but I was really pleased with how it turned out. And in shows like this that are so beloved in the first season, at least for me, getting into the second and third season is really dangerous because there's just the opportunity for them to fall off.
Totally.
And I was kind of scared of that, like through this whole season, that it would start to fall off for me. But I really think they pulled it off, like a great second season. And I think I can speak for myself. Both of us probably were so excited and ready for the third season with where they left things.
Yes.
I'm thoroughly pleased. What about you? How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I feel similarly. I thought walking away from the episode, I felt like really satisfied by what they showed and what they revealed in a lot of ways. And I think there's still a big part of me that's like craving to know the answers to a lot of our questions. But man, it was just like, it had like everything that you want out of a TV show or a movie. It was like, it was funny. It was emotional. It was action packed. I mean, it was like, it had everything. It was like the perfect bow to tie on the season. And I think when we get to talking about the ending, I think the ending, while some people might have found it really frustrating, was exactly perfect, like how it should have gone.
Yeah. And I think the creator, Dan Erickson, said that if it has to end here, like it will be an okay ending. Like
True.
He was kind of planning, like he didn't know if it was going to be renewed.
Yeah, that's true.
So this could have actually been the end of the story, but we know that there's more, and he has in his mind how the whole series hopefully will end. So
yeah,
I agree. It was like, it was frustrating, but also like in the most beautiful way at the end of the episode.
Totally.
Ugh, man. But let's get into it. We have so much happened in this episode, so many details, and I think we won't even be able to talk about every single one, but there was also just so much that was surprising, I think.
Very much. Kick us off.
So let's do it. So if you remember last episode, Mark, Devin, and Cobell had snuck into the birthing center. Devin's idea to speak to Mark's innie. Well, this episode we're back at the birthing center. And this time, Mark is handed a camcorder, and through a series of video recordings, Mark's outie asks his innie to help rescue Gemma from the testing floor after he completes this Cold Harbor file. And he explains to him, otherwise, Gemma is going to die. That's what we've figured out. And Mark's innie is really not having it. He storms off after he realizes that what he's asking him is to sacrifice himself and Helly, the person he loves, on the inside.
Wow. This was so cool. I'm getting chills thinking of it again. Like, this is the first real, like, as direct a conversation they could have with each other that we've seen an
Yeah.
Indy and Audi have. And it was done so smartly. So he's like walking from inside the birthing cabin to like out on the balcony. So Audi Mark is recording out on the balcony, and Indy Mark is recording inside by the fire. So you also get this like, you get this again, this like blue moonlit scene, and then this red, you know, firelight contrast from Innie and Audi Mark. Again, with the red and blue, they love to do it, but they do it so well. But it was just awesome to see them talk to each other. And they're like really blown away by probably just like, I mean, it would be so surreal to like watch yourself say something that you don't remember saying.
I know. Moments ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't even imagine what this would feel like. But this whole idea was so cool. I don't think anyone predicted that this would happen, that they would have this scene where they were speaking to each other. But oh my God, so smart. And it was so fun to watch. Yeah, the first time that they're really getting to share how they feel from their individual perspectives. And yeah, we find out that like they really just don't understand each other.
No.
Like, when it gets to the bottom of it, like Audi Mark is kind of being insensitive to Innie Mark about like, oh, you like someone down I heard you like someone down there. Like kind of like downplaying it, calling her Helene. Like, this is so offensive.
I know. And like, you also see in these interactions that Innie Mark has with his Audi self, and then also with Devin and Cobell, that like the Audi people still don't really treat the Innies as true full people. Like, Mark tells his Innie about reintegration. He's like, there's this thing that we can do. And he's like really putting on a show, because when he turns the recording off, his face drops, because he's like, he had to really like act his ass off to like try and sell him on the idea of reintegration being the solution to his freedom.
Yeah.
But he quickly clocks him on that, Innie Mark does. And then also when Devin is talking to Innie Mark and saying like, you know, we've got to get Gemma out and everything, Innie Mark is like, well, what happens to us? And Devin's like, what do you mean? She doesn't even think about it. She doesn't even consider it. So like, I think, you know, there's still like Mark even doing reintegration is without his Innie's consent is selfish. And then, you know, their whole like aim at getting Gemma out is an altruistic one, but they aren't considering like the humans that they're talking to.
Yeah. Yeah. They're obviously still considering Audi Mark, that consciousness, as like the supreme consciousness, the most important.
Totally.
And yeah, Devin's kind of talking to him like, oh, this is just like another version of my brother. You know? Yeah, this was a really cool scene. And you have to put yourself like into, and I find myself even as the viewer sometimes being like, but the Audi, you know, like think about the Audi. Like if I had been born as, you know, Innie Mark, and that was like my only reality, why would I care about this like other person that I don't know at all?
Totally.
You know?
Yeah, and they're also kind of like, they're so beaten down by the Audis that they know, like Milchick and Miss Huang and Cobell. Like they have no reason to trust people on the outside. They don't know what they're like. They might think that they're all really manipulative people and out for themselves.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because Cobell is one of the people trying to convince him. And like he only knows her as this evil lady who's done all this stuff to him and put him through like break room torture and all this stuff.
Right.
So like he hasn't seen her turn into, we still don't even know if she's good. She still, I think, might be like doing this for her own purposes, maybe aside from Lumen, but we don't truly know if she actually has had a change of heart. She does say right before Mark walks out of the cabin, Cobell does say, "I care for you," which I thought was really interesting. And I was like, do you?
I know. I wonder if that's true. I think she at least knows out of all of them talking to Mark that she has to appeal to them as actual people. Like she realizes, because she's had a lot of experience talking and working with Mark, like she knows kind of the way his mind works a little bit more.
Yeah, and she created the severance procedure, so she's like thought about this more than any of them.
Lest we forget.
Even though we find it somewhat unbelievable. But here is the first time we hear someone from Lumen presumably explaining what MDR has been doing this whole time.
Finally.
Yeah, and so she talks about, Cobell tells Mark that basically the numbers have been like a window to Gemma's mind. Mm-hmm. And as we've all kind of theorized, what they're doing is taming Gemma's tempers, and in a way building these new consciousnesses for her.
Yep. Wow. I mean, I feel like among the internet sleuths working hard at decoding Severance meaning, this was like elementary for them. So I feel like we all knew that this was true. It was just confirmation that it was true. But yeah, this was, I mean, it was still satisfying to hear her say it, you know?
Yeah, I think so too. And for like to realize, oh yeah, like Mark still doesn't know this.
True. Yeah.
He's still like going back and going to work on this file and not knowing what he's doing. Mm-hmm. But I think we all realized kind of early on that they were taming the tempers of these consciousnesses. But I think it was only like the Gemma episode where we realized, oh, each file is a new consciousness.
Yeah.
So that concept is still kind of new for us, and we'll talk about that more when we talk about the Cold Harbor room. But
yeah, I think that Cobell tells Mark this. She tells him that each file he's completed is a different version living within Gemma, and that really blew his mind, and I think made him really feel a lot of sympathy for this person who he doesn't know. But he realizes, like, oh my God, there's 24, 25 now, maybe, I mean, more if you count Miss Casey, people who really could have these like full lives, but their whole life is just truly being tortured and used for Lumen's gain. And I feel like you really started to see him make a turn for like, oh, I hadn't considered, you know, that she herself is experiencing something like I am, that she wants freedom, or that perhaps her lives are worse than what I've got to experience in mine. And I think that, at least to me, that seemed to land with him in a way that I think that's why he ended up making the decision to save her.
Yeah. And learning that it's kind of all been at his hand. Like, he's the one who created each and every one of these.
Yeah.
So it was like, did you see the statues by the fireplace where it's like a pregnant woman and a pregnant man?
Yes.
Well, that was really interesting. But like, he really did like create these new consciousnesses. Like,
true. Yeah.
He kind of birthed these new things. Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
He didn't know he was, but still.
Right.
Wild. Yeah. This whole birthing center scene was absolutely nutso.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's keep moving along these train tracks here.
Yes.
Okay, so on the severed floor, James tells Helly R that he doesn't love his daughter. He comes into the MDR office after hours. This is when Helly is trying to memorize the directions to the exports hall. And he says that he doesn't love her because he no longer sees Kier in her. He says he did when she was young, but it left her as she grew. And he says he saw Kier again recently in, guess who? Helly R. So they have this conversation, and he ends up walking away and leaves Helly wondering why he came and what he wants from her. But this was so chilling, this old man.
I know, he's so freaking creepy. This scene quashed some of our theories from last episode. The first one being that Helly R would kill him, which darn.
But she did have a pen in hand ready to stab. I was screaming at the TV, kill him, kill him.
I know. I was like, to the jugular.
No.
But no, she doesn't do that. But it also seems to confirm that Helena has been Helena this whole time. Mm-hmm. They didn't like switch consciousnesses earlier in their lives, it sounds like. Mm-hmm. But this was a really interesting interaction because we have assumed that James would appreciate Helena's like obedience and, like following the norms of Egan's and Lumen and whatever. Mm-hmm. But he seems to see Kier, quote unquote, in Helly R's defiance and her like, just standing up to him, which was really interesting.
Yes. And I wonder, obviously, where this is going to go for Helly, because I think we talked about this, and I've seen it online, but I think it's obvious this isn't the end of Helly R, because James has now a vested interest in her. But yes, it is probably very confusing for Helly to be rebellious and for that to be the thing that he's attracted to about her.
Yeah. But the good thing about this is now we know that Helly R is important to him. Mm-hmm. So he has a reason to keep her around. I'm wondering if we know Mark's locked in to Lumen now that he like refused to leave, but I wonder if there still will be a baby Kier that will be Helly and Mark's now that James is like, wait, I see like value in Helly now.
Could be.
Yeah, it might change what they're aiming to do here. I don't know.
Yikes. Yep.
Well, let's talk about Dylan. So Annie Dylan returns to work this episode after filing his request to resign. So this time he comes in and he receives a letter from his Audi explaining his point of view and giving him the choice to resign if he wants. So this was kind of cool. I really loved this. I love this for both of the Dylans. I feel like this whole experience like somehow was good for both of them.
Yeah.
Because Audi Dylan's letter really gives Annie Dylan like a renewed sense of self-esteem and like purpose, and he really kind of hypes him up. Like he talks about, wishing that Gretchen in the future sees in him what she saw in Annie Dylan. Which seemed like it was great for Audi Dylan too, because maybe he's like, whoa, I do have to step it up and like be there for my wife and my family in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's really cool this episode we get to see Innies and Audis communicating with each other more than just Mark. Like this was probably the first time that Dylan, outside of maybe when they like first get onboarded and they get the videotape of their Audi, I think this might be the first time that they've had any communication with each other. And Audi Dylan says to Annie Dylan that he kind of likes knowing that he's there, which is very sweet. He does start the his points off by saying, first off, fuck you.
But that's so Dylan. I feel like Dylan. Annie Dylan's like probably like respect.
Yeah, right. Totally. Yep. But yeah, I agree. I think this does give both of them a sense of purpose and a reason for obviously their characters, each of them to continue on in season 3. But yeah, we've got to talk about, of course, when Milchick hands him his letter, and then he says something like, because this may elicit an embarrassing emotional response, and I'm duly swamped, I'll leave you to read this alone. And he runs. He just turns around and runs out the door. He's swamped.
I was cracking up. He's duly swamped. I was cracking up, especially later when we realized what he had to hurry away for.
I know. I screamed when we were watching it together. I screamed and I said, "Shut up!" I could not believe that was his exit.
So well done. Oh my god, I loved that scene. I think I read that or heard that it was unplanned. Like that was just like a decision that he made for that first shot, and they kept it.
I heard that
was
too.
So
good. So smart. Incredible.
One of the great little moments of the episode.
Yep. Also, do you remember in this scene, Dylan takes off his glasses at the end, and I remember after he reads the letter, and I remember when we were watching it, I don't think I said anything out loud, but I was like, whoa, it's weird to see him without his glasses on.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, he looks like a different person. But yeah, he was moved so much so that his glasses no longer slipped to the end of his nose, but entirely off his face.
That's pretty moved.
Mm-hmm. Let's get back to Mark and Helly. So Mark exits the birthing center. He storms out. He's upset and he threatens. He says, "The next time I wake up, I better be on the severed floor." And sure enough, we go right to the severed floor.
I loved that.
That transition was incredible. So he walks out and Helly joins him soon after out of the elevator. And he goes to his office. He completes the Cold Harbor file and receives an elaborate celebration from Milchick and a marching band, which was unexpected. And then, while the band is kind of circling them, Helly distracts Milchick, traps him in the bathroom, and Mark goes to search for the hallway to the testing floor. A lot happens here.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah, so much happens here. Oh my god. But first of all, can we just talk about how extra luminous for this last Cold Harbor day?
Dude.
What the hell?
It's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, they walk out of the elevator to this new painting that is insane.
Wow.
It seemingly has everyone in Mark's life, and they're at the largest waterfall in the world. That they saw at the Ortbo.
True.
And then the Lumen CEOs or the Egan family people are like above, standing above in the waterfall, kind of like in the shadows. Mm-hmm. And then around Mark, first of all, Mark's face. What is Mark's O face in this?
He is O facing.
Painting. I hated it.
It was a little disturbing. Yeah.
I didn't want to see that. But yeah, there's some really interesting details in this painting. I paused it earlier just to kind of see who all is in it. It's all the usual people you would expect, but also it includes people like Devin, Rickon, the baby, Petey is in it. Wow. And also the weirdest part I thought was the creepy MDR, the creepy twins from the Ortbo of each of the MDR people.
I didn't notice that.
Are in it also. So, like, the MDR team's on one side, and then the creepy twins of each of them are on the other side.
That is so weird.
It's really weird.
Yeah. I feel like you could maybe write a whole essay on what you think this painting means, but I don't think we need to look into it that deeply. It's just very strange, and it's called The Exalted Victory of Cold Harbor. So they were ready. They were painting this
luminous
overnight.
So extra.
Yeah.
God. And then the drama of like the dark hallways and the lights going on like as they walked.
Yeah, they're definitely bringing the drama. The Kier animatronic is waiting for them in the MDR office and tells Mark that he's going to complete the file, and Helly's going to bear witness from her chair. And there's a waffle inside, which was cool. And my favorite part It's signed Love Mr. Milchick, which
I loved this
is
part.
so cute. I mean, adorable.
Milchick did the most this episode. Oh my god. Love Mr. Milchick. It was so cute. We were also happy about the waffle card because we had just eaten waffles when we watched this.
Yeah, yeah.
But okay, Mark and Helly finally make their way to their desks in the dark. And then they kind of like are whispering back and forth to each other, sharing their most recent experiences. So obviously Mark in the birthing center, what went down there, and then James visiting Helly on the severed floor. Mm-hmm. So they're kind of figuring out, okay, what do we do here? Mm-hmm. And decide that it is best for Mark to just finish the file, and then they'll try to get to the exports hall.
Yep. Yeah, this was a really emotional scene. They're like whispering to each other. It's dark. They're like staring the end of their lives in the face, essentially, or at least like the unknown, probably what they assume is the end of their lives. And Helly is really the one to encourage Mark to finish and take Lumen down. Like, that's what she really wants to do, even though it means like the end of her Audi's success, potentially. She is really fighting for, what's right ultimately. And she even says, like, your Audi's reintegrating, like maybe you'll get a chance at living. And Mark heartbreakingly is like, yeah, but I want to live with you. And she says, but I'm her, Mark. So I think they know they can never really truly be together, at least in the world that they are living in now. And it's just a really sad, like, goodbye, essentially. And they say, at the end of that, they say, see you at the equator. They're talking about different places in the world that they can remember. And it's like, it's so fitting that they say see you at the equator, because the equator is what separates the northern and southern hemisphere. It's like such an analogy for, of course, the severance of themselves. And it also called back to me that line in Eternal Sunshine where they say, meet me in Montauk, because they don't know when they will see each other again and if they will remember each other in that movie. And it was just beautiful. I loved this.
Yeah, it's one of those like super sad yet at the same time like so painfully beautiful like lines or sentiments,
Yeah.
Ugh, God. But soon after Mark finishes this file, and they don't have much time to
chit chat,
be sad and think about this anymore, because as soon as he finishes the file, green lighting, dramatic music, fog machine. And then an announcer, or is it Kira talking?
Kira.
Is it the animatronic? Yeah. The animatronic announces Milchick. He comes in. This is what he had to run to get ready for. His performance. They do this like weird kind of bit between the two of them. But I was wondering this whole time, because they kind of like, Kier makes a jab at Milchick's vocabulary yet again. And I was like, who is doing this voice for Kier? Is it like somebody we know who's like in a booth with a microphone, like voicing the scene? I thought the same thing. Like, even whoever's doing this even like knows about his like big word usage.
I know. It was so
but this is
tense.
this was another like moment where Milchick's like dealing with this microaggression towards him, and like kind of cracks and is like, well, they made your animatronic 5 inches taller than you really were. So this was like, we've seen like hints that Milchick's like getting fed up and getting fed up. But unfortunately, we learned this episode that he doesn't make the turn against Lumen this season.
Not yet.
No. But man, this performance, we get introduced to a new department, choreography and merriment.
Wow. What do they do all year round when they're not doing this? I wonder.
They do that. They play music.
They practice.
Yeah. Just like the goats.
Yeah.
This was great though. I could never have predicted this for my bingo card. A whole marching band is on the Severed floor.
Never, ever, ever. And I love a marching band, I have to say. They're so fun. They really hype you up. And seeing Milchick with his baton and doing his little dancey dance, he was awesome. I saw actually that he went to an HBCU and he was in marching band. So
oh, wow.
He actually,
I mean,
yeah.
He really pulls it off.
Yeah.
He has the moves.
It was so good. I could have watched 76 minutes of that.
It was so good. His body rolls.
Oh, man.
I'm doing them right now. You can't see, but I am.
You're doing a pretty good job.
That was so good. I loved seeing this. And he took his job so seriously.
1,000%. It's a momentous
That's
day.
what we love about Milchick. Yeah. Oh, man, that was crazy.
Incredible.
Well, while all this choreography and merriment is going on upstairs, downstairs, Gemma is finally getting to this final room, Cold Harbor. So she walks into this room, and we realize it's an empty white room, and the only thing in it is a crib. And it's the crib that Mark built for their baby years ago. So she walks into the room, and the voice, Dr. Maurer from above, says, "Take it apart." And so there's just one little screwdriver there, and her job is to disassemble this crib that was built for their baby that they lost. So she starts taking it apart, and she seems to be responding without emotion, to the delight of Dr. Maurer and James Egan, who are both watching. Okay, we finally figured out what this Cold Harbor room is.
Finally, and we were really shooting for the stars in our theories. I mean, it was not nearly as traumatic as we expected.
Yeah, we were like, it's going to be a drowning simulation, and they're going to show her video of Mark and Helly. Nope, it's just a blank white room and a crib and a screwdriver.
Hey, yeah, I mean, listen, I was, I guess, happy that it wasn't as dramatic as we expected, but it definitely was unexpected. Yeah, so she, you know how she, in her little room, like the actual Gemma, she opens up her closet to find whatever outfit she's going to wear. So she opens up her closet and she finds the clothes that she was last wearing when she last saw Mark. It's like a long scarf and her jacket.
Overcoat.
Yeah. And she's obviously like a little overcome with emotion when she sees it and has to be convinced to just get dressed and get moving. But now we see why, because this is directly tied to her own experiences as herself. And they want to know, like, would she recognize, you know, her clothes and this item that was so dear to them and ended so tragically. And all seemed to be going according to Lumen's plans for a little while.
Yeah, we should have made this connection. And a lot of people pointed out that the crib's model name in the Gemma episode is Cold Harbor, or whatever. God, it was such a simple one-to-one connection there.
Totally. Yeah, another thing that I noticed is in the room, they seem to be playing the same song that we've heard a few times. I'll Be Seeing You by Billie Holiday. We hear it a couple of times in season 1. Most notably, I think when Mark is taping back together the picture of Gemma, and this is like the first time that we get the reveal as the audience that Miss Casey is Gemma. So I think, I mean, they don't say it outright, but this seems to be like a beloved song by them. Maybe it was their wedding song or like, you know, first dance or whatever. But it holds a lot of special meaning. So they were testing a few things like the music, the crib, and the clothes.
Yeah. Wow. What a reveal.
Wow. Well, let's move on to a couple of characters that we haven't mentioned yet. So Drummond, Mr. Drummond, security guard with the awesome haircut, summons Lorne, if we recall, played by Gwendolyn Christie, the goat lady.
Yeah.
He summons Lorne to sacrifice one of her goats. But while they're doing that, they hear Mark attempting to break into the exports hallway. Drummond and Mark get into a physical fight, and Drummond is trying to strangle him, but is stopped by Lorne. And eventually this ends in Mark taking Drummond hostage with him in the elevator to the testing floor. But as they're going down the elevator, Mark accidentally kills him while he's transitioning to his Audi. Whoa.
Oh my God. This was so good.
So good.
I thought this was hilarious the way they did this.
I agree.
But first of all, we should probably talk about the whole goat situation. So from what we learn here, it seems like goats really are not integral to what Lemon is doing here. We're not switching consciousnesses with a goat. We're not putting chips in goats. We're really just using them as like sacrificial animals, like, you know, Bible days.
Yeah, they say that, so Drummond asks Lorne, has it verve and wiles? And she's like, yeah. And the goat is to be sacrificed and entombed with a cherished woman who I think we can assume to be Gemma. But it is supposed to guide her soul to Kier after they have passed. So I think, it's just one of those weird, like, cult rituals.
It's just some religion shit.
Yeah, but I think they do like revere goats, it seems like, because they have a lot of goat symbolism and things. So it seems like they value them, but only for, I guess, that purpose.
Yeah, they're more of a mascot for them than a scientific tool.
True.
But oh my gosh. First of all, Mark trying to get into the wrong room, climbing with his dress shoes. I was like, you idiot.
I know.
This was hilarious. But he got really lucky that he was in the right place to find these people.
Totally, that's true.
So it's this scene where we learn why the episode is rated MA15+, which we were speculating about last episode, or last podcast, about what this violence would be, because we knew it was rated that for violence. We speculated Helly was going to kill James, all that stuff. But man, this scene really was pretty gruesome, these few scenes. That first punch Drummond gives to Mark's face, just like that quick jab to his face, was so jarring for me. I was like, oh, shit.
I know, it was shocking. Like, he was already roughing him up a little bit, pushing him against the wall, but I did not expect him to just outright punch him. And then, Mark has a pretty good go with him for a little bit, but then Lorne has to come to their rescue and holds this, execution gun meant for the goat up to Mr. Drummond's head. And then they fight. Lorne and Mr. Drummond have a fight, and Lorne is kicking his ass.
Badass. That was so badass. And this is kind of like the theme of this episode is like, and I guess this whole show, innies owning their autonomy and fighting back for what they believe in and like claiming what they believe in is something that's worthy.
Totally. Yep.
So Lauren stands up to Drummond for the sake of Mark and, of course, her goats, which we can tell that she loves so much and cares for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. She even asks Mr. Drummond, how many more do I have to give?
Yeah.
So it's painful for her probably every time she has to do this. And she's the one who is asked to kill them each time too, which has got to be so heartbreaking. And that's all her life is just raising these goats. But yeah, Mark and Drummond walk away down the hallway, and Lauren says, Emil thanks you. Emil is the name of the goat. Emil is so cute, by the way.
Oh my God. I know. That goat was so cute. I was so worried that they were going to show it being killed.
Me too. Yeah. That would have been, marks off the episode. Yeah.
Yeah. They lose some fans for that one. Mm-hmm. But gosh, going down the elevator and Mark's mid-sentence, okay, in a second, I'm going to turn into my Audi, and then I'm going to turns, and the gun goes off. I lost it. I was it was hilarious. It was perfect because Mark doesn't want to kill this guy.
Totally.
That would kind of be something against Mark if he's going around actually killing people. But
yeah,
this was a total accident, but it was perfect to move the story forward. And it's at this point that this episode kind of turns into Kill Bill for me, in the style of Kill Bill.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Which I love. I love the style of those movies, and especially when it hits the ending credits and that song plays. I was oh my gosh.
That's so Kill Bill.
So good. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But oh my God, I loved this accidental killing scene.
Yeah, me too. It was shocking. It was funny. It was gory. And I don't love gore, but I think it was funny enough that it it made it palatable. But yeah, I mean, this is also the end of Mr. Drummond. We've seen 2 security guard guys go down now, so it's not a good track record.
That's another thing I meant to say. What was the old security guy's name?
Mr. Grainer.
He was in the painting too.
Oh my God, really? I didn't notice.
Yeah, he was in the painting too.
That is so funny.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see the fallout from killing Mr. Drummond. I think he was the perfect character to kill because we knew him well enough. We have beef with him for Milchick, and especially for just punching the shit out of Mark and strangling him. But
True.
Yeah, he's just kind of evil. That was so good. And then the way, I guess we can talk about this now, but the way that the blood soaked his suit perfectly to be able to use it to enter the room.
Oh my gosh. I think you said something about that before. We were how is he going to get into the room when we were watching it all together? And then I think you or maybe Abby said something maybe he'll use the blood on his clothes. Yeah. And that turned out to be true.
She was smarter than me. I know. That was, it was brilliant. I had speculated last episode, or when we saw that that's how they get into the rooms, that it would be Helena that would have to let them in somehow.
Right.
But Mr. Drummond's blood on his tie,
perfect.
So good.
Perfect.
Well, Mark does get into the room and finds Gemma, and they end up escaping to the severed floor. And then there, Mark guides Gemma through the exit door, but returns to Helly.
Wow.
And then the episode ends with them running through the hallways as the emergency alarm is blaring. Helly's got no shoes on. They're just running for their lives without, I don't even know if they have a plan. They're just they need to be together.
Wow. Well, we'll definitely get to the ending, but let's start with Mark finding Gemma. So he starts to kind of explore the floor that he's on now, and he's his outie self now.
Yep.
And he sees the plaques by doors, And he's like, okay, I think I know. He was probably told by Cobell, like, this is what to do once you get there. But so he's looking for Cold Harbor, and he gets, I think he finds the room, but what's her name? I don't even know if she has a name, but Sandra Bernhard, the nurse.
Yeah, the nurse.
They have a confrontation, and it is so funny. She says, "Step off, fucko." And then they're like, he's holding the gun at her, and you know he's not going to shoot her, and she knows that.
Yeah.
And she's just like, fuck off. And she runs off to get Dr.
He
Maurer.
doesn't even have it. He doesn't even have it like recocked. Like he's just like waving this already
There's
shot
nothing in
thing at
there.
her.
I mean, there's no bullet at least, but yeah, this was such a funny interaction between the two of them. I loved that.
I know, that was really funny. I love that. Sandra Bernhard got a final little scene in the episode. But can we also talk about how understaffed this building is? The only security is Drummond, one person.
Look,
This doesn't make any
we can't look
sense,
too
but
deeply into the potential plot holes.
yeah. Yeah, we had to suspend our disbelief. That's part of watching TV. But when Mark walks into the room and then Dr. Maurer is talking through the speaker like, no, don't listen to that man.
Yeah.
But Gemma, like, in some way is like entranced with this like stranger that just walked in.
Bloody.
And Mark's like pleading his case. Yeah, he looks so scary. But something about him, I guess she like trusted.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe there was something in her that just knew that like these scenarios that she's been in are not good and not right.
Yeah. Well, I think there's something to the fact, too, that Mark is standing in front of her and the other person talking to her is just a voice coming out of a speaker.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she's probably just inherently drawn to him because he's another person. But Dr. Maurer and James are watching this interaction between the two of them. And James screams expletives at the frustration of Mark showing up and ruining their plans. And eventually Mark gets her to take his hand and they walk out of the room frustratingly slow. This was another scream at the TV moment.
We were yelling, like just move an inch further towards the door. He's like, come on, it's okay.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, and then we get the biggest reunion that we've been waiting for.
It was so good.
Audi, Mark, and the real Gemma.
It was so good. He looks the happiest we've ever seen Audi Mark. He's smiling so big, and she's finally seeing him, and it's just awesome. I mean, it's short-lived, but it is so sweet.
Oh, my God. Yeah, we knew it wasn't going to last long because they have to go up the elevator.
Yeah. Oh, we also get another really funny line from Sandra Bernhard. She says to Dr. Maurer, they're like scurrying around the floor, and she says to Dr. Maurer, it's the fucking spouse, which was
Spouse.
hilarious. I love her. I want to see more of her.
She's really funny. That was good. So Mark and Gemma book it to the elevator. Gemma knows her way around this floor, right? So she's like, come with me. But in the next series of scenes, we get so many combinations of encounters between these two and their different consciousnesses. So at first, when Mark is in the room, we have Audi Mark and the 25th innie of Gemma, that consciousness. They walk out and it's finally Audi Mark and Audi Gemma, and that's the reunion. And then they get into the elevator and it's back to innie Mark and Miss Casey, where we get another great line. Mark, what is taking place?
Yeah. They're like kissing too when they switch to those versions of themselves.
Yeah, shocking. Which luckily Annie Mark knew like what the mission was and what was happening, but of course Miss Casey has no clue. And then finally, when Gemma leaves the hallway, it's outie Gemma again, but still any Mark.
Oh my God. This was, I think, I mean, this is the reason why people were frustrated with this episode, and probably why some people are not satisfied with this finale, because they wanted the perfect ending for the outies. And I think this is the theme of the show, is that outies do not reign supreme in this world that we're in. They might have a lot of control over the innies, but we have to recognize that the innies are full, complete people with their own motivations, and they have love and friendship and purpose. And so this was incredibly heartbreaking to see Gemma screaming and pleading with any Mark. And I think for me, like, thinking back on the episode, like, Gemma doesn't know that that's any Mark. Like, she doesn't know that Mark is severed.
No.
And so she's probably so confused by what's going on.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I think the reason I was so frustrated with this scene is because I was thinking about Gemma's experience of being tortured for years down there, finally seeing Mark again, and then she's tortured again in a different way with the man she loves just leaving her.
Totally.
From her perspective, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, leaving her and taking the hand of this other woman? What?
I know.
This poor lady. I feel so bad for Gemma. So bad.
She's got it the worst out of all of them. That's for sure.
She really does.
I feel horribly for her. And she's probably thinking about what Dr. Maurer said, like, oh, Mark's found a wife and has a family. Like, she's probably thinking, is this who he loves now?
Right. Yeah. And then you go back and think, wow, outie Mark should have been like, hey, I'm going to change to my innie again. But, you know, like, I don't know.
I know. They didn't have time.
And he didn't know. Yeah. He didn't know.
Yeah.
Jeez. It was incredibly frustrating to watch, just to see, like, this character be in such pain. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like, if I put myself in the shoes of any Mark, of course I'm not going to walk out of this door and end my life as I know it and leave the woman that I love. Mm-hmm. Like, at least if I stay with Helly, then we'll both, like, end this together.
Absolutely. You know? Yeah. I think it makes perfect sense for this character to choose Helly in this moment. And like we said, we don't know what they're running to. I don't think they know where they're running or what they're going to do. But
no,
they at least know that if they're running towards, you know, their doom, at least they're together.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
exactly.
This was, and what a beautiful, we talked about the song too, kicking in at the end. And I think when we were watching it all together, we were like, this is where they end it. This is where they end it. Like, we could tell that it was, and then when the music kicked on, it was like, this is the end.
Yeah.
And it was so Kill Bill-esque. It was beautiful.
Yeah. And then the only time we've seen red credits roll.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What a great ending. Like, as frustrating as it feels, because we've become so attached to these people, it's like so good, and sets it up so great for the third season, which has been greenlighted. I can't wait. We waited 3 years for this season.
Gold. Well, I saw or I heard on the Ben Stiller, Adam Scott podcast that they had actually been contemplating for the finale ending it with Mark not having made the decision on who he's walking towards, like still standing there between Gemma and Helly and not choosing, and it ending there. But I think that's worse. It would have been way worse. People would have been pissed.
That's worse.
I think it's the perfect way.
They made the right choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made the right choice. yeah, of course you're going to fight for your life and for the people you love. Like,
Man.
yeah, I can't imagine stepping out into that hallway willingly, knowing that after that moment, I may never like wake up again, you know?
And he may
And
have
leaving.
gone into the stairwell if Helly hadn't shown up in that moment.
That's true. Well, I should bring up there are folks online who are speculating that in this final scene, it might not be Heliar at the end with Mark. People are speculating that when the alarms go off, there is a change in Helly, and they're thinking it's Helena in this final scene, which I think Britt Lower has said in interviews that it is Heliar in this final scene.
Yeah.
But they have said things in interviews that turned out to be not
That's
true.
true.
So I don't know. I didn't notice that. I didn't like clock that, and I don't think that's what happened.
Yeah, I don't think
I
so
think it
either.
genuinely is Heliar. Yeah.
Agreed.
Ugh.
Man. Wow, I can't believe we're at the end of the season. I'm so sad. But I might have bingo. In fact,
I might have bingo.
I'm pretty sure I do. Okay,
Let's see. What's yours?
Okay, so I do have bingo. Okay, so the ones that I got this episode are dancing. It was just generic dancing, and it was Milchick, of course.
Ugh. You're so lucky you put dancing because I put Innie's dance, which I don't think technically I got this, even though the marching band were all Innies.
You should count that.
I mean, maybe. In that case, I got bingo 2 ways.
Okay, well, damn.
I win.
And then,
okay, what's your other one?
I think the other one that I was like certain around the middle of the season would never happen, but it did. It's Mark and Gemma kiss. And they did kiss.
Yeah.
Exactly the versions that they were meant to be kissed. And it was great.
That's interesting because I have Mark finds Miss Casey, which also happens.
Yeah, that does happen. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting that we had like different versions of that same thing, but
yeah. So I got bingo with dancing, the kiss, reintegration, and testing floor.
Okay. I got Mark finds Miss Casey, Audi infiltrates severed floor, that was Helena. Bert appears. Oh yeah, he does. And we meet Dylan's kids.
Oh wow. Love.
We did good. Do you think we can get bingo next season?
I have little faith in that. I feel like we have so little to go off of for next season with what could potentially happen. Like the world has broken open in such a way that I don't know what to predict, but
I know.
Man.
I know. Should we use this moment to tease what we think will be an extra bonus episode?
Let's do that. So we obviously have been going for quite a while this episode because there was a lot to talk about with this episode.
Oh yeah.
But we really want to talk about what theories are out there for season 3, what we think is going to happen for season 3, and do a little bit of reflection on season 2 and season 1. So I think we'll do an extra episode in the next week or two just to kind of put a cap on season 2 of Severance and get us pumped for season 3, which hopefully will come out next year. I'm like, I don't know, maybe a year and a half because they haven't started production or anything yet, but I'm hopeful.
Yeah. Hell yeah, brother. Yeah, I think it would be great for us to like take a breath. I really want to watch straight through from season 1.
Yeah.
Now that we have all this perspective and we've learned all these things, I think we're going to be picking up like things we never noticed.
True.
But after doing that, kind of reflect on, what are the through lines we're seeing? Where do we think this could be going into season 3, potentially season 4? But man, yeah, there's so many ways they could go with it. And we will speculate. We will speculate.
Sure will.
But sticking with this episode, we just want to talk about a few takeaways we have. and just some of the lingering questions that are still out there. Because while this did tie a bow on some things, there are definitely still questions that we have, some big, some smaller. But let me just start by saying, maybe I'm dumb, but I'm not 100% sure why Cold Harbor in particular was so important to them. Like, they hyped this Cold Harbor in particular up into being this huge thing. It's going to change the world. I feel like they've proven that Severance holds, like, over and over again. Like Mark, for instance, with his Severance, he doesn't remember Gemma at all.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying too, like, they made the argument that Mark choosing Helly in the end is like the ultimate test for the chip and being severed.
That was like a better test than their little crib test, you know?
Yeah.
And it...
Well, I have a thought on this, and I think that we don't really know yet why the tempers and sorting and all of that, like, why that matters so much to them. And it seems like even though Severance works, it seems like they're trying to do something else besides sever. They're trying to, like, create, like we've talked about before, like a world with no pain, a cure for mankind. Like, I think they are, I don't know, it seems like they're maybe trying to create like zombies in a way.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. There's a bigger goal they have here, and this is just like one of the pieces of it. And even like in the goat room, Mr. Drummond's talking about like Kier's goal to like end pain or something. He doesn't say that exactly, but something about like doing away with pain in the world. His not war against pain, but something like that. So that definitely does seem to be like their big, like, why are we doing all of this? But you're right. I think the future seasons are probably going to be more about like, how is this applied and how do we get there?
Exactly.
But yeah, I think, and they probably didn't anticipate the fans being so absolutely feral and insane for like theories and like coming up with this like off the wall shit like we're doing. I mean, we've gone so deep and like who's switched and like who's gonna die and how they're gonna like pull off this giant thing for Cold Harbor. But yeah, I think if we hadn't done that and just watched it through like normal people, it would have been like shocking, you know.
I think, yeah. Well, I'll say, even though we've done a lot of speculating, and we read Reddit all the time to see what people are saying, I think it was still like really satisfying to watch. It did not disappoint.
Agreed.
And I feel like our expectations, even though they might have been more sensational, were, you know, met with a really great narrative in the end. I think your takeaway kind of leads to mine, which leads into our questions that we still have. But I'm just like, yeah, we learned a lot about Gemma and what they were doing with her. Cobell revealed a lot to Mark about, you know, the work that he was doing and how he was, you know, sorting or taming Gemma's tempers in a way, and the numbers were her mind. But I'm just like, still, why? There's still so much we don't know about what Lumen is doing. And it makes sense that we didn't find out this season, because I think that would be way too much revealed in such a short amount of time with not a lot of buildup.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's get into, I guess, the questions we still have outside of that.
Okay. Should we just run down? Okay, first of all, is Helena pregnant? We didn't get an answer to that. I still think it could be a possibility.
Yeah, I think it could be possible too. There was so much speculation around this with the uh, the intro credits to the show having all of the babies, but I saw someone point out that like, and I didn't count the number of babies, but they were like, there's 24 or 25 babies. So I think they were saying like, oh, this is an allusion to the any versions of Gemma and not like pregnant Helena like we thought.
Yeah, maybe we're just speculating because they had a sec that they're gonna procreate. Kind of related, what is Jaime planning for Helly R?
Ooh, I can't wait to see.
I know. What if he we won't speculate too much, but
no.
Helly R, you have a future here.
Yeah. The next one is Irv really gone for good?
Ooh, I hope not.
I don't think so. No way.
I hope not. We still don't know who he was talking to on the phone.
No, we don't. That's true. Well, I feel like it can't be the end of Irv because even in this finale, Helly stands up on the desk and mentions Irv. She's like, we don't, our friend is gone. Irving's gone. I'm sure you've lost people too. She's talking to the marching band. So I think that there's a lot of motivation on Helly's side. And I think by way of her, Mark will be a part of it too. But I think they might try and find him somehow or communicate with him.
Well, also in the birthing center, Annie Mark is like, oh yeah, the map that Irving drew.
That's right.
And Cobell's like, what? So Cobell might be really curious, like what Irving has discovered.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And he might be important to her, like the science of it all for her sciencey brain that she definitely has. Trying to figure out what's next.
Yeah.
But similarly, will Bert make a reappearance?
I don't know. I could see this being the end of Bert's storyline.
Yeah, I feel like the way they sent Irving away, it seemed so final that if one of them comes back, the other can't.
Yeah.
It was a final goodbye.
Yeah, it definitely felt like that. I think that might be the end. But who knows? We'll see. Our next question is, will they ever let Mark back out into the world? He's down on the severed floor at the end of this season. And it's like, are they going to let you up the elevator? Certainly they will stop you somewhere. Like, what is going to happen to him?
I know. He's done so much now. And they know that Outie Mark had ill intent. So why? I'm so curious what their plan is going to be, like how they're going to deal with Mark after this. And who's going to do it? Is it Milchick? Milchick's like the only, we don't even have Mr. Drummond anymore.
I know. We don't have Miss Huang.
Maybe it'll be the nurse. Miss Huang, yeah. A question that I have, how is Rickon involved, if at all?
Yeah, there was so much speculation about Rickon this season, and even you thought maybe Rickon would have a hero moment or have a bigger hand at least, but no, we haven't really seen anything, and not even his any book.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything about Rickon for the past, 5 episodes, maybe?
Yeah, he's been dead to us for a while.
Yeah. It's so funny because we've speculated on every character and every point of this show of all the things they could do. If they ever tried to do all the things that we have said, it would be like a 10 season series.
I know.
And we're like, they're gonna fit it into season 2. Kind of silly, but
yeah,
I think Rickon's definitely gonna play a role at some point.
I agree. I think they've got to bring him in. And there's been too many weird things with Rickon that I think there's still a big chance that he's definitely involved with Lumen with the book thing, but I think there's a chance he has stronger ties to them that we don't know about.
Ties. Yeah, well, James said he sired others in the dark or on the side,
Yeah.
Rickon could be one.
Rickon's
he doesn't seem
the
like
biggest
he has Kira in him.
embarrassment for James, probably.
Honestly, that could totally be true.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, my last question is my biggest question and frustration right now. Why does reintegration take so freaking long?
Dude, I don't know.
Like, since we even flooded his chip. I mean, come on.
We did.
And it honestly it didn't even move like the plot forward in terms of like Innie and Outie Mark working together at all. You know what I mean?
I know. It's been really frustrating to like have that. What a great episode when he reintegrates, and like a great cliffhanger that episode. And then
Yeah.
I feel like we just didn't get
nothing.
enough, like, we didn't get enough notice ahead of, like, we didn't have a conversation scene between Ragabi and Mark maybe about like how long it might take. So I think our expectations were not properly set. You know?
It was kind of like it happened and then did it happen? Like,
Yeah.
we saw some flashes and then they totally stopped talking about it or showing it.
I know he's not even drinking his weird drinks anymore.
Maybe that's the
That's
problem.
the problem. Yeah.
He needs his eggnog drinks.
Ew.
But that is a frustration that I had for sure, and a question. Like, at some point and he talks about this episode, like, I promise I will continue the process
Right.
after we get Gemma out.
How are you going to do that?
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, hopefully Cobell has some tricks up her sleeve.
That's what I think.
Which
we can talk
save
about
that for the
Yeah,
episode.
we can talk about the next episode. But yeah, lots of questions. We
Yep.
are I'm fully satisfied 100% with this season. I loved it. I'm also really, really proud of us for starting this podcast based off of this, I mean, like, sparked by this show which we love, and seeing it all the way through. It's been really, really fun.
I know. Yeah, this show has meant a lot to us in ways outside of itself. Like, it brought us to creating this podcast and just having these fun moments together. This project together has been really great. And a lot of our friends just being able to like tune in and listen, and y'all's support and listening every week has been so cool and has meant so much to us. So thank you. Thank you everyone who has listened and sent me a text or a DM or something about it.
It never gets old hearing
really-
from you that, like, y'all are listening and that you liked it or reacting to something we talked about.
No. I love it. I love it. I can't believe it. I can't believe you guys even want to listen to us talk about this shit, but I really appreciate it. And speaking of, we are still talking about White Lotus, and we have episodes that come out every Wednesday. So please tune into that. We're also going to be creating some podcasts around Black Mirror, which this next season premieres next month in April of 2025. So check that out. We're not sure exactly how we're going to do it yet. They might be shorter episodes, and we might pick and choose some of our favorite episodes to talk about. But really pumped for Black Mirror. I think that's going to carry us through, because we're going to feel it's going to be weird not having Severance to watch every week.
I know. I posted to our stories, but I'm genuinely sad that it's over.
Yeah.
And I'm going to need a cure for my Severance hangover. And I think Black Mirror is going to be sufficient enough. So excited to talk about that.
I think so. Well, y'all, it's been an incredible season. Man, we're looking forward to the third season so much. But we are going to put out another episode, like we said, talking about our theories for season 3, just revisiting our old buddies, because we are going to miss them so much. All these characters that we've come to be so close to.
Yeah.
But yeah, we might zoom out a little bit and talk bigger picture and the through lines, and just like meta, what this show is about, and the lessons we can learn from it. I think having that bigger conversation and not drilling out on every little detail of like a person in a painting will be really fun. So please tune into that. We love you guys.
We love you so much. Thank you for listening.
Love Mr. Milchick.
Love Mr. Milchick and Adrian and Alicia.
Oh, amen. Praise Kier.
Praise Kier. See you next time.
Thanks, y'all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.